Hello everyone, I am Nathan and I am the Angry Husker, and the bowl announcements just came out and I'm here to talk about that. So let's get to it. The Big Ten has 10 teams in the bowl season. That's fantastic for this conference. 10 teams in the bowl season, that's great. That means only 4 teams in the Big Ten got left out. Sorry, you guys. You got to do better. But there you go. We got 10 teams in the bowl season. That's awesome. Now breaking down, there's 4 Big Ten games that I'm really interested in seeing. Obviously, the Sugar Bowl between Ohio State and Alabama. That's gonna be the big one. Ohio State is carrying the banner of the Big Ten into the playoffs against the #1 team in the nation, and they're playing down in Louisiana in the Sugar Bowl. Big Ten always gets screwed when it comes to bowl locations. They're always down south, and we're usually always playing teams from whatever area we're going to. That's to be expected. Ohio State needs to show up, and they need to represent this conference. It's on them. Everyone else can lose their bowl games, but if Ohio State goes into the Superdome and beats Alabama, that's all anybody will be able to talk about. So OSU, win that game. Win it for the conference. The second game that really interests me is the Cotton Bowl between Michigan State and Baylor. Now, who could have asked for a better matchup than that? One of the best defenses in all of college football going up against probably the best offense in college football. Baylor is pissed. They didn't get into the playoffs. They don't get to play for a national championship game. And Michigan State lost the two biggest games they had all year, against Oregon and against Ohio State. They win those games, they're in the playoffs. Those are 2 playoff teams. Those are 2 incredibly talented teams. Do not take Michigan State's losses in those games as a sign that Michigan State is not a good team. Remember, most teams that have losses don't have losses to other teams that are already in this playoffs. Michigan State only losses, remember, on the road against Oregon and at home against Ohio State. They can put up a huge fight against Baylor. I would actually expect them to win that game. I'd love to see that one. Of course, Nebraska, as you can tell, going up against USC. That's an awesome game too. The last time we played USC was back in 2007, and that's kind of heralded the beginning of the end of the Bill Callahan era. That blowout loss to USC at home was merely the first of many to come, and that's what ultimately led to the end of the Bill Callahan era. So I'm really excited to play USC. Fun fact, we've never beaten USC. Never. The closest we ever came was in our 1970 national championship season when we tied USC. But we've never beaten them. Not once. I'm really looking forward to the chance to fix that. And the last one, the Outback Bowl between Wisconsin and Auburn. I don't see Wisconsin putting up too much of a fight here. Auburn's a very talented team. But we'll see. We shall see how that one goes. Wisconsin did a number on Nebraska, and I would love to see them do a number on Auburn as well. Other Big Ten bowl games, Rutgers versus North Carolina in the Quick Lane Bowl. Pretty meaningless. No one's going to really care about that one. Pinstripe Bowl between Penn State and Boston College. That could be a pretty fun one. Remember, Boston College gave Florida State all sorts of fits. Then again, who didn't? Maryland versus Stanford in the Foster Farms Bowl. That one seems a bit mismatched, don't you think? Maryland has a really high-powered offense, but I don't see them putting up too much of a fight against Stanford. Minnesota and Missouri in the Citrus Bowl. That will be a fun one. Minnesota and Missouri. I can see Minnesota getting that win quite easily, as a matter of fact. Remember, this is the same Missouri team that lost to Indiana at the beginning of the year. To go up against the SEC Eastern Division champs and beat them would be a hell of a thing for the Big Ten. Heart of Dallas Bowl, Illinois and Louisiana Tech. Does anyone care about that one? Nope. Moving on. Last but not least, Tax Slayer Bowl, Iowa versus Tennessee. That's a fun one to watch too. Tennessee is a national brand. Everybody knows about Tennessee. They're Well, they're a traditional powerhouse. Now, Iowa's kind of just been on the cusp of mediocrity the last few seasons. Iowa can beat Tennessee. Iowa's a good football team. Really looking forward to that. So, of all these games, every single Big Ten team is an underdog, which is kind of surprising. I would take Iowa over Tennessee. I would take Michigan State over Baylor. Of course, I'm going to pick Nebraska over USC. Every single one is a Baylor. Every single game, we are underdogs. Now, you can either look at this as a huge problem or a huge opportunity for the Big Ten. Here is our chance to make up for the horrendous start we had for this season. Here's our chance to make up for that and make a bold statement to the whole country that the Big Ten isn't a bunch of pushovers. See, this is when you make that statement. This is where you stand your ground, draw a line in the sand, and tell the entire country that the Big Ten is a force to be reckoned with. Getting 10 teams in the bowl season isn't going to mean squat if those teams don't perform. And it's got to come from our heavy hitters. It's got to come from Ohio State, Michigan State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, because those are the games people are going to be watching mainly. It's got to come from them. The Big Ten plays 4 games against the SEC. That's a huge opportunity to make a bold statement against the best conference in the nation. Take 3 or 4 of those games, and the Big Ten is looked at in new light. Now it's time to finally turn the tide of the perception of this conference. You play 2 Pac-12 teams, a Big 12 ACC team, and then Louisiana Tech, which is nothing. Who cares, right? This is the opportunity that the Big Ten has needed. Now it's time to deliver. Can these Big Ten teams go into hostile territory, because almost all these games are going to be played down south or out west? Can we do that and come out with victories? I hope so. Ohio State has to do it. Michigan State has to do it. Wisconsin and Nebraska. They all have to show up big, because those are the heavy hitters in the conference. Yes, Minnesota and Iowa, them too, but mainly the 4 I mentioned. This is a huge opportunity for the conference. Big Ten, do not blow it. Nebraska, do not blow it. Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, you all finish ahead of my Cornhuskers. You better not blow it. I want to see the Big Ten coming out on top. I want to see at least 6 victories. Not counting the Illinois-Louisiana Tech game, because nobody cares about that. I want to see at least 6 victories for our 10 bowl eligible teams, if not more. Can we do it, Big Ten? I say we can. All right, that's it for me. I am Nathan, and this has been my take. You all have a good one.